right, here we are, man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Sipping with Souls, episode 25. I'm losing track of it now, I ain't gonna lie. I'm losing track of it now. I should check, but I ain't trying to ruin the flow. Welcome back to another episode, y'all. Hopefully y'all are having a good weekend. Hopefully y'all had a good week. Shout out to my working class out there. Shout out to the people that get money. You know, and shout out to those who are struggling. Shout out to everyone, man. Shout out to everyone. Appreciate y'all for coming through. We got a lot to talk about today. No guests, but actually a decent amount of things to talk about in this episode. Listen, if you like what I'm doing over here, leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a 5-star on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. All of those are much appreciated. Follow me on Instagram. A lot of short form content from these podcasts go on Instagram. Instagram has just been a platform I've been focused on this year. So please go ahead and follow the Instagram. But nevertheless, a lot to talk about today. SoLLUMINATI's return to streaming. Another streamer getting exposed out here, sketch style apparently. I don't know. Shout out to Marlon. We'll get into that here in a second. I want to talk about Thunderbolts as well. Okay. Went to see Thunderbolts this weekend. On Friday. Got a lot of things to talk about today. As far as what I'm sipping on, man, I got some Wellesley Farms water. Okay. We don't have Costco. Well, we have a Costco 30 minutes away, but what's really prevalent here in Massachusetts is BJ's, Berkeley and Jensen's. Okay, that's our Sam's Club. I really wish they built a Costco nearby, but nevertheless, this is literally from across the street. We have a BJ's literally across the street, and the water's pretty cheap in bulk. So this is what we usually buy. I ain't gonna lie. There's another store where we get Poland Spring from if we're really, in a hurry. But this is what I'm sipping on, man. This is what I'm sipping on. I'm being so serious. I haven't drank since that day, chat. I have not drank alcohol since that day. That was a pretty bad day, man. I ain't gonna lie. Broke a lot of rules that day. Went out on a Sunday night. That was already a rule right there. And what else? Just a bunch of degenerate behavior I don't want to get into. It was a bad day. But nevertheless, let's get into the topics today. And let's go ahead and just talk about a couple of small things first. So let's start off right here. Okay. This is a clip of Mark Zuckerberg on a podcast. And let's just hear him out.
I think as the personalization loop kicks in and the AI just starts to get to know you better and better, I think that will just be really compelling. One thing just from working on social media for a long time is there's the stat that I always think is crazy. The average American, I think it's fewer than 3 friends. 3 people that they'd consider friends. And the average person has demand for meaningfully more. I think it's like 15 friends or something, right? I guess there's probably some point where you're like, all right, I'm just too busy. I can't deal with more people. But the average person wants more connection than they have. So there's a lot of questions that people ask of stuff like, okay, is this going to replace kind of in-person connections or real life connections? And my default is that the answer to that is probably no. I think I think that there are all these things that are better about kind of physical connections when you can have them, but the reality is that people just don't have the connection and they feel more alone a lot of the time than they would like. So I think that a lot of these things that today there might be a little bit of a stigma around, I would guess that over time we will find the vocabulary as a society to be able to articulate why that is valuable and why the people who are doing these things are like, why they are rational for doing it and how it is adding value for their lives. But also I think that the field is very early. So, it's I think, there are a handful of companies and stuff who are doing virtual therapist and, there's like virtual girlfriend type stuff, but it's, it's very early.
So that was a podcast clip of Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta / Facebook.
I think as the personalization,
talking about AI. AI is something that Mark Zuckerberg has low-key been obsessed with these last couple of years. It was VR for a second, but this AI boom got Mark Zuckerberg's mind running. So the quote is, the average American has three friends, but has demand for 15. The average person wants more connections than they have. Okay? So this comes from the heels of an announcement. I don't even know if it was an announcement. They may already be doing it. I ain't gonna lie. Of Meta making AI accounts to artificially drive engagement on Instagram, on Facebook, that will give you, personalized responses to your content, personalized interactions. But they aren't coming from real people. Okay? And there's been a lot of conversations about artificial intelligence and the bunch of different use cases that it has, the varying different cases, the varying different levels as to which AI can be used. But one use case that's specifically being talked about more recently is the chatbot use case. Specifically when it comes to making chatbots that are meant to be online friends. Okay? And I think this is a rabbit hole. That one is Black Mirror-ish, Black Mirror-esque, but this is a rabbit hole that I swear, if we don't put the prior research into prior to actually diving into it, it'll cause a lot of different effects that we are not ready for. See, my whole take on AI, chat, is I think technology has rapidly evolved pre-AI that we haven't even caught up to that, right? There's a lot, like, the internet in general, before AI, was already so unregulated, so no one knows what the fuck is going on, no one knows how to manage it, that it was already dangerous before all of this. The deep web, deepfakes were a thing before AI, I believe, but before this AI boom already. That was already a conversation going on. So the internet already was a dangerous place. But AI introducing things that were never introduced before adds a layer of catching up that governments and people need to do to protect themselves and to protect a lot of people that I do not think we are ready for. I think we are just unmasking the effects that social media has had on kids and has had on my generation specifically. You know what I'm saying? Having access to social media, having access to these addicting algorithms and what that does to your brain, what that does to your attention span, all of that is being uncovered, like starting to be uncovered, because we finally got like a big sample size to actually make some sort of conclusions. And even then, in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about 5-7 years of samples. That may not even be big enough to really, really make conclusions on, for real, right? But when you add this new layer, again, there's a lot of there's more catching up to do. And with the nature of AI, it makes it harder to catch up because it's exponentially growing. It's learning and changing every single day. It makes it hard. I don't like the idea of AI coming in and trying to replace IRL friends. I think we have already seen the effects of internet friends on people, meeting people online, spending a bunch of time with people that you anonymously, know. And even if it doesn't become anonymous, just the nature of chronically online friendships, I have been a part of them. You know what I'm saying? We are just starting to uncover that. But when you add this layer of, one, there's actually not a person behind the screen. Two, the information they give out is can be catered by these big corporations. And three, it's this like thing that is always online, will always respond to you. I'm being so serious. I would not be surprised, chat, if this really evolves the way that it does, where there's going to be a generation of kids that become more antisocial, that become more socially awkward because they can just go to school, deal with what they got to deal with, go home, and talk to an AI chatbot that will respond in how they want to respond, one, and two, will always respond, is online 24/7. You can vent to it. All of these different things. I think this is a dangerous rabbit hole we're getting into. And I'm not gonna lie, Mark Zuckerberg being at the head of this, I don't like that, bro. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think we already have a social problem the way that it is right now. And if the solution to the social problem, especially post-pandemic, people, how that affected people socially and all these different things, we already have a social problem in society right now. If the fix to that is to not make more walkable cities, and if the fix to that is to, I don't know, not create third spaces or whatever it may be, if the solution to that big corporations are thinking of, because one, they can profit off of it, and two, monetize it, is, hey, fuck actually helping IRL relationships, let's just build fake ones online. Man, it's an evil world, man. This is an evil world we're in. It's an annoying world that we live in. I ain't gonna lie. But let's get on a little bit of a positive note here. Jesus Christ, that's gonna piss me off. Listen, this season is the last season that TNT has rights to the NBA, right? Next season, it'll be NBC and ESPN/ABC manning a lot of the sports media, at least on the NBA side of things. So NBC announces they will broadcast player intros before tip-off next season per NBC. We back! And I'm not gonna lie, chat, just to bring some more positivity to this episode, I like this. I like this right here. NBC released another commercial the other day. Actually, not making fun, but paying tribute to the old NBC intro. They're bringing that back. That's gonna be a part of their marketing. And I'm just glad that we are getting a breath of new fresh air when it comes to NBA marketing, specifically now that there's been a lot of conversations about the passing of the torch when it comes to the NBA. I think it is very clear cut, especially this year, that at some point in time, we just got to move on from this past generation, okay? We got to move on from the KDs, the Stephs, and the LeBrons, and there is this new generation of stars that need new and improved marketing, that need to be marketed properly, and it is time to turn our attentions to them. And I'm not going to lie, they are forcing our hand to pay attention to them at this point. They are. They are. It ain't no, we're going to win these games. We're going to move forward. We're going to knock off your favorite old player, and you're going to have to pay attention to us because your old players team couldn't beat us, right? I want to shout out Anthony Edwards in this regard, right? I want to shout out SGA in this regard. I want to shout out, Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers knocking off the Bucks, and I understand there's some controversy with that. I want to shout out the Rockets. The day I'm recording this is Game 7 of the Warriors-Rockets series. Definitely excited to see that later. So this is a new era that we are in, and I'm glad that it's also being paired with a new era of marketing. I think this also ties into the conversation with Sinners and the fact that was an original IP movie that succeeded in the blockbuster. And I really hope this is a new trend that finally marketing and just people in general are ready to embrace. We need to embrace new IP more than ever. I am done seeing a bunch of live action remakes in the theaters. I am done seeing adaptations in the theaters, whether it's books, comic books. There's been a new trend of video games. I'm tired of seeing part 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. And I know this is crazy tying to the NBA, but it is time for us to embrace new IPs, because the more we embrace new IPs, the more it incentivizes these production studios and these big media conglomerates to make new IPs. Because the reality is, these motherfuckers only respond to where the money's going, right? That ultimately, that's what it is, right? A lot of these movie studio companies, the reason why they don't want to make original IPs is because the safe bet, especially in this economy, the safe bet is to rely on the franchises that will guarantee them money, guarantee them a good return on investment, right? Same thing with the NBA, right? It is much easier to keep on putting Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant out there, because there's more guaranteed short term that there's going to be a market and interest in them than trying to prop up an Amen Thompson, trying to prop up, I don't know, Vic's a little bit different, but a Scoot Henderson or something like that, right? It's much safer to put a bet on them. But I think if, as a society, we kind of embrace this shift and embrace these new IPs coming out, embrace this new generation coming out, I think that'll bode better for a lot of these conversations. And I also think this new generation just needs things that are unique to them. I think that is very important, that every generation has things that are very unique to them. I think a lot of that will naturally come. But also, I would be mad if if this new generation's kid shows is just my kid shows remixed. Like that sounds like an ass generation. Like, what is this generation's Hannah Montana? What is this generation's Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? What is this generation's Boy Meets World? Right? What is this generation's that? And if this generation's that is just a bunch of remakes of Zack and Cody, is just a reboot of That's a Raven, I feel bad for these kids. So it's time to embrace these new IPs. And let's just keep it pushing. Speaking of let's keep it pushing, I know this isn't technically a new IP, but it is an IP that I will continue to indulge in because I'm invested into this IP. Okay? So, this past Thursday/Friday, the latest MCU movie came out, and it was the Thunderbolts. Okay? It was the Thunderbolts. Now, fair warning. A lot of spoilers coming up. So for people who have not seen it, please skip this part. Because I may be spoiling things here in a second, and I'm just gonna give my unregulated review on this topic. I think Thunderbolts was a good movie. I think it was. I was kind of afraid because it wasn't, one of the marquee Marvel franchises like a Iron Man, like a Spider-Man, that this was gonna fall closer in line to like the Marvels. And even though the Eternals is growing on me, but like closer to the Eternals when it comes to the movies, I was afraid of that happening. But I was pleasantly surprised to say that it was far from it. I'm happy about that. I think when it comes to Marvel projects post-Endgame, it is definitely on the upper half of the echelon than the lower half. And that's a great thing to say. I'm gonna be honest. I've been liking what Marvel's been putting out lately as a whole. I've been liking the fact that they have pulled back on quantity, pulled back on the TV shows, pulled back on the movie releases, and they're being a little bit more meticulous is the word I was probably looking for. Being a little bit more meticulous with what they put out there, being a little bit more strategic, and are just not letting everything fly for the sake of letting everything fly, right? I think the last 3 movies that have come out is what? Captain America, Brave New World, and I believe before that was Deadpool. I don't know about y'all. I like both of those movies. You know, I like Captain America, mixed reviews depending on who you talk to, but it wasn't like I thought it was cool. But Thunderbolts was definitely a good watch. If you are a Marvel fan, I definitely would recommend you guys watching it. And I also think if you guys are gonna continue watching the MCU movies as a whole, I ain't gonna lie, it's one of those movies that set up a lot of things in this next phase of the MCU. And it's going to be one of those ones that you really do need to watch. I ain't going to lie. However, I don't know if this is my fault for coming into it with too high expectations. But I, while still enjoying the movie, was a little bit disappointed still. The reason why is because the Thursday watchers going into this movie had a lot to say about this movie. Right? And let's just, because people, no one said that, B-Souls. I got it pulled up, okay? A lot of tweets, and I understand none of these have like gone viral, but let's just read some of them. What if I said Thunderbolts was in the top 5? Updated 2025 ranking after watching Thunderbolts. This person has Thunderbolts as the second best movie of 2025 above Sinners, which I find crazy. Thunderbolts made it to my top 5 MCU movies. Okay. Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man Homecoming, and then Thunderbolts, and then Age of Ultron, which, okay. So Thunderbolts is the best MCU thing since something from a really long time ago. Let's just say it's top 5 and leave it at that. It's not crazy to put Thunderbolts at 6. And yeah, this person's all-time. Shang-Chi at 3? God, okay. Thunderbolts is very easily a top 5 Marvel movie, top 5 MCU movie. Go see, like, there's a lot of tweets saying that this is a top 5 MCU movie of all time, top 10 MCU movie of all time. But I specifically heard a lot of top 5 talks, okay? And I think even in the trailer, I seen a recent trailer of the movie. Literally one of the quotes in the movie, one of the greatest MCU movies of all time. And again, let me preface this because motherfuckers want to call me a hater and a non-movie enjoyer. When I said this on the timeline, I enjoyed the movie. I think it's a good movie. It's a good watch. I ain't saying none of that. But same thing with the Anthony Edwards talks. I can both say a player is good, but y'all just gotta relax. Top 5 MCU movies. I really had to look. Cause what was it? Cam on the timeline. Shout out to Cam on the timeline. When I tweeted this out, he was like, this gotta be at the very least the best post Endgame. The very best post Endgame MCU movie. And I really had to look back. I really had to look back at what movies were post Endgame. And even that is like, y'all gotta relax. Cause I looked at the movies that came out post Endgame, and I'm not sure it's top 5 post Endgame. Not to say it's a bad movie. But post-Endgame, we're looking at No Way Home, right? The Deadpool movie, Guardians 3, Shang-Chi. What like, that's 4 right there that you could easily say is better than Thunderbolts. And even if you want to disagree, I'm not saying that, you know, those names, those movies aren't disagreeable. But to catapult it to top 5 MCU movie of all time, we have to stop. I'm not gonna lie, a movie whose claim to fame is just a great setup cannot be a top 5 MCU movie ever. I think it's a great setup for everything coming up, but if that's the claim to fame is, oh my God, this set up so many different things. Like, a movie gotta stand on its own, and if that's the claim, oh, they introduced Sentry / The Void, oh, the Fantastic Four, the spoiler at the end, oh. If that's the claim we're talking about, we have to stop. We have to stop. And I'm going to be honest with you. My biggest problem with the movie is the villain. I think the Void / the Sentry was actually one of the most interesting villains that the MCU has come up with in recent times. I actually think the Void / Sentry / Bob is up there when it comes to the setup of the villain, the motivation of the villain, and whatchamacallit, the power, the skill set, the scalability of the villain, whatever it is. I really fuck with the Sentry. However, how they went about nerfing Bob in this movie specifically really bothered me. Really bothered me. You're telling me, one, this villain that just found out about his powers in like a day, after just talking to I'm forgetting her name, after talking to the woman, oh, I can help you control it. What it seems like a matter of hours, can already control it to the point of this person now has superhuman strength, can now levitate, can now do all of these things in a matter of hours. Okay, let's slow the fuck down. But if you don't think that's a problem, that's fine. That's fine. You make claims that this person is stronger than all the Avengers combined, and really shows it too, by the way. That fight scene was kind of crazy. I thought he was about to go invincible on them. Right? I thought he was about to go Omni-Man on all of them. Right? I was like, oh my God, how the fuck are they gonna beat this dude? Right? But the cop-out being a remote control, that's gonna shut him down. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. And how they stop him wasn't really stopping him. It was the power of friendship. Come on, bro. Like, they literally set him up as like a Thanos level villain, it seemed like. And I just really think they had much more potential to come up with a better ending than what they came up with. That was just very disappointing. That was just very disappointing. Now the counter argument is again, oh, but this sets up like some crazy shit moving forward. Cool, okay. We'll experience the setup when it's set up. Okay? But I'm just talking about what I saw. The ending of the movie, how they stop him, is a fucking group hug, is disappointing. I don't give a fuck. The way you stop this Thanos level villain, this dude that can literally just send people to the darkness in a snap of a button, is a group hug. A group hug. We gotta stop. We gotta stop, bro. We gotta stop. All right. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Next thing that I want to talk about. Some little monsters, man. Some little monsters. So, what is this? Copacabana Beach. Lady Gaga recently had a concert at Copacabana Beach in Brazil. And I ain't gonna play it for copyright reasons, but ladies and gentlemen, just look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. The whole fucking city came out for Lady Gaga, right? And I tweeted this out in response. Stars from the social media era will never be as big as the peak of the stars before it. Let me say that again. Stars from the social media era will never be as big as the peak of the stars before it. Because it really got me thinking, chat. It really got me thinking. We've had a lot of conversations about, well, like across a lot of different mediums. Who's the next face of the league? Who's the next superstar? Will we ever see another Michael Jackson? You know, what is rap looking like post the big, like who's the new big three in rap, right? Because for a minute, it may still be. It was Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, but what's that next generation looking like? And I'm not going to lie, I have concluded that a big reason as to why these things, we'll never see the past generations for what it is in the current generation. While we'll never see true superstardom, global superstardom in 2025 moving forward, unless something changes, is because social media has changed the game so much that it has made it impossible to make another Michael Jackson, to make another Eminem, to make another Kanye West, to make another Jay-Z, to make another Lady Gaga, another Taylor Swift. And I think it primarily it's because of the fact of how we consume media now. There is too much media to consume now. I need y'all to remember how artists were marketed back in the day, how people found music back in the day. A lot of it was controlled by a small group of people, primarily labels and big corporations, right? Most people got and found music through radio stations, which, you know, there's only a handful of radio stations out there for real. A lot of music were found through radio stations, certain TV channels, you know, word of mouth, right? The channels as to which we found music were much less than what it is now, right? Now you can find music through a bunch of different social media apps. Even the music apps have their own discovery algorithms. You know, people aren't even really searching for shit. They're just being force-fed things via recommendations. All these different things. There's so many different genres now, so many different artists. Attention is being divided not just with music, but the attention that you once had to music, now that's being divided into a bunch of different things. A lot of people are distracted by a lot of different things now. But back in the day, it was, and this is the part of mainstream that helped back in the day, communication was really controlled by a handful of people. So when Michael Jackson released music, when, I don't know, Beyonce released music, and that was being played by the radio stations that everyone was listening to, you know, it was much easier to make superstars, one person, one star, one musician, as big as possible compared to now. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. I think it's easier to become a musician now, arguably. I think there's much more variety now. I think there's much more options now. But in terms of coming up with a global superstar to the levels of, again, a Michael Jackson, Eminem, a Prince, a Beyonce, a Usher, I think those days are dead. I think those days are dead until something shakes up so much that, like, social media doesn't even exist anymore. Like, it would have to be that length. It would have to be that length. You know, the attention span problem that we have as well. Like, a lot of these things just play a factor within this one conversation right here. But yeah, if you didn't become mainstream before social media took off, yeah, you ain't gonna be a superstar for real. Like and we use that term superstar very loosely now, but I really think that superstar tier gotta be reserved for special names. Special names. Like once in a generation type of names. Like Tate McRae got pulled right now, but she's not a superstar. I'm sorry. Hell, even Lil Uzi in his prime. Like, again, if we're talking about superstars, and we're reserving superstars for the names of Kanye West, Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Lil Uzi in his prime may not even be considered a superstar. And I love Lil Uzi. That ain't no hate. That's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, if you came up in the social media era, chances of it being like, nah. But if you came up before it though, because someone in the replies was actually debating me on this. False as fuck. You think Travis or Taylor or Drake is not doing this? And I told him, I think Travis Scott, Taylor Swift, and Drake all blew up before social media became extremely prevalent. Like Drake like Forever came out in 2009. I believe. I may be wrong on that. Drake was already mainstream in 2009. Dominating radio in 2009. Taylor Swift has been in the game long enough to be popping before social media came along. You know what I'm saying? I think for these artists, social media has elevated them to a stratosphere, and they've leveraged it to their advantage. But I'm talking about this newer generation that, needed social media to get their ground, to really get their footing in the game. That's really what I'm talking about. These new generation artists, I would say if you became mainstream 2016 and on, you're not a superstar. Like the chances, well, let me say this. You may still be a superstar, but again, this conversation of like becoming an Eminem, becoming a Michael Jackson type, and I know Michael Jackson may even be in his own category in all of this. But in that conversation, I know all of this is inherently very unlikely, but you ain't, nah, you're not a part of that. You're not a part of that. Okay, let's go ahead and keep it pushing here. Let's get into some real deal social media talks right here. Some real deal creator talks. This was supposed to be a more positive story, but it's low-key turned negative. So, one of the OGs got back into streaming, y'all. One of the OGs got back into streaming, and his name is SoLLUMINATI. So a couple days ago, SoLLUMINATI made his return to not only content creation, but specifically streaming. I have heard so many creators, specifically in the WL space, attribute a lot of their inspiration to SoLLUMINATI when he was streaming. And after 5 years of not streaming on Twitch, he has decided to make his return. And I was there for the first stream, actually. Just to check out the numbers. When events like this happen, I just like to tune in and see what the vibe is, see what the conversation is, what everyone is talking about. And in this first stream, SoLLUMINATI, after being very on and off with content creation, I think the last time we uploaded was like 4 or 5 months ago, right? Specifically on Twitch, he hasn't streamed in 5 years. Last time was 2020. Came out the gate with 8,000 to 9,000 people watching. That's crazy. That alone is insane. Right? Very first stream, Kai Cenat already gifting 100 subs. I seen Aiden Ross gift 50 himself. I seen who was it? I think DDG even gifted another 50 himself. Like, a lot of people were talking about it on the timeline that, you know, one of the OGs is back. One of the OGs is back. Big So's back. Right? One of the most influential figures within the 2K space, within the WL space, is back streaming. And it's looking like he's going to be doing it on a much more regular basis. And for those who don't know about SoLLUMINATI and how he talks and the content that he makes, had a lot of interesting things to say. Mind you, this is the same dude who took like a Kyrie Irving type of pivot with his content with Spiritual So, right? He's also a person that has been pretty loud about not being on the internet as much recently. And I just think a lot of his takes were very interesting because, as me and you, as let's keep it a stack, a lot of people watching this, I would consider myself a chronically online person. Seeing and having conversations with people who are not chronically online is so interesting and oftentimes funny. Because I feel like, as chronically online people, there are certain takes that are just common to hear. You know, it's common to think why you think the way that you do. But for non-chronically online people, like, these people feel like we're legitimately talking about things in a different language, right? So let's just see some of these clips from SoLLUMINATI right here.
Y'all doing all type of shit on this Twitch shit. Some of y'all niggas is, I ain't gonna lie, y'all be farming subs on this bitch. Y'all going crazy. I ain't gonna lie, y'all niggas is beyond OnlyFans hoes how y'all be on this bitch farming subs. That shit tough. I don't know who made that a thing, but this shit is, bro, Twitch is so oversaturated. I don't know, bro, it's like, god damn. How do you fit in as a new streamer? Tough. Everybody doing IRLs and shit, like, bro, nigga, my life too chill. I don't go outside. I don't go nowhere. And it's gonna make a lot of y'all niggas have to compete, feel like y'all gotta compete. Bro, you need to just sit and do you, because I'm telling you, if you ain't a part of these groups with these big-ass streaming teams and shit, then don't set those expectations on yourself with all this extra shit. This Twitch shit is crazy. What I mean by farming subs, I'm not talking about like niggas trying hard. Like, people gonna get subs regardless. But you do got niggas. This shit is crazy, man. I told y'all, I feel like Bill Russell.
There's also a couple clips talking about everyone calling So a unk and So having a problem with that. And I also think a lot of this is interesting because So is a YouTuber first, right? And I've had this conversation on this podcast a lot of like the YouTuber to streamer pipeline. But So is one of the few individuals that, again, hasn't really embraced this streaming pivot as much as others have. So a lot of these things is very foreign to a YouTuber first person. You know what I'm saying? Streaming for a shit ton of hours, asking for subs, you know, not putting on a character, because he even recorded a reaction video within the stream, because, you know, a lot of people do reaction content on their streams. And the way So went about it is completely different from how your favorite streamer does it. Like, your favorite streamer goes into React, and it's just the seamless flow of consciousness, I guess, for lack of a better term, where everything is just flowing, everything is just natural. So literally, like, hold on, chat. I gotta hit record right here. I gotta get into YouTube mode, do my intro. And he gets into a whole different character when he's doing reacts. And then once he stops pressing record, he turns into a whole nother different character just for the stream. And I think that is that's just an interesting way that, like, YouTubers think of content, specifically the ones that go into stream, that I think is very, very interesting. But after a couple days of streaming, So's already banned. So is already banned, chat. And this is the clip that people are speculating as to why he got banned. So let's go ahead and watch it.
I have no problem with gays, bisexuals, trainees. Bro, every every gay person I met throughout my life, if it was like, it was probably only like 2 gay niggas in my school when I was in high school. They didn't bother nobody. They just hung with girls and shit. Y'all know how gay niggas is. They didn't bother nobody. I ain't never seen a trainee in real life or transgender or nothing. And bisexual girls and lesbians, bro, I was cool with a lot of the dykes on the team. We was all trying to fuck hoes. Shit.
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm not laughing because, hey, he shouldn't have said what he said. But again, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The non-chronically online person, they go online. Mind you, this is a lot of people in real life. I'm just keeping a stack. They don't know what the banned words are. They don't know what the TOS words are. There may be some certain things that they've said in the past that they don't know is like frowned upon now. I'm gonna be honest with you. One that I've recently was like, whoa, we not saying that anymore is like y'all know I say pause, right? But I always thought another like synonym of pause was no. Y'all know what I'm saying here. It was something that I think Anthony Edwards got fined for in recent years as well. Or was it Anthony Edwards? It might have been Cole Anthony or something. Like they said a joke and they said, you know, it was a pause-worthy moment, and they said no. And I personally didn't know that was like, oh, are we not saying that anymore? We're not saying that like that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. And I think the whatchamacallit, the word that he used to describe transsexuals is another word that a lot of people who aren't online a lot don't know that is a frown upon word now. I feel like.
Yeah, I used to fuck somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Dykes. We had our whole team was dykes when I was in high school. All them bitches was gay. They was all cool. Nobody has never had a problem with anything that has to do with that. Until they start weaponizing. I have no problem.
I'm glad Fear Buck cut it off when he did. I am glad Fear Buck cut it off when he did. But I believe he's actually unbanned now. Very shortly after this, SoLLUMINATI was banned on Twitch. And I think this is today. He is contemplating already leaving Twitch for a kick.
For some of y'all that don't know, I just recently got banned on Twitch. This is the most love and just chill I have ever been in throughout my whole YouTube career. It was no drama. It was so peaceful. It was all love. And I still got banned. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't feel safe on Twitch. I can't. And I dropped videos about this shit in the past. I dropped it on Twitch. So I was telling y'all, like, you have so much freedom to do stuff on other platforms and stuff. And then on Twitch, it's like I can't even. Bro, I was harmless. Y'all seen it. I didn't do nothing. And people keep clipping shit thinking of what I did. Bro, I can't say. They talking about TOS and certain words you can't say. Like, bro, my nigga, I didn't do nothing, man. I didn't do shit. Nigga, I'm driving. Nigga, I told y'all niggas on TikTok, nigga, I almost crashed. Aiden texted me. I said, what the fuck? Aiden texted me, said, bro, you banned. Like, what the fuck? Of course Aiden texted me. Aiden, how you know before everybody? I found out from you, nigga. Now listen, the most important thing I want to do is keep this streaming shit going. If I'm getting banned for just chilling, like, bro, I can't say nothing. Like the alphabet, the LGBTQ shit. Bro, I didn't diss them at all. Y'all heard everything. Bro, it was so much love on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. To say you didn't do nothing, just thinking about it from a TOS enforcer, you definitely did something. And I think it's a case of like intent versus what you actually did. Those words are TOS. Okay, I'm sorry. Those words are TOS. And Twitch definitely has the right to enforce their TOS the way they deem fit. However, if So is gonna continue to talk like this, it probably is better for him to move on to Kick. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I think for So specifically, it may not even be the worst move in the world. Just from the fact that his audience is so loyal. Mind you, again, this is the same dude that hasn't streamed for 5 years, came back in 10K off rip without even posting about it on YouTube. I think he just went live on Twitch, posted on Twitter, and he got 10K in there. I think his numbers actually wouldn't go down like crazy if he went to Kick. And again, I think he's just one of those people that I don't even think So is a type to do like insanely degenerate content, right? I don't think he's gonna turn into like one of those like Jack Doherty streamers or anything like that. But I do think he's a person that will not change the way that he talks. And if this is just the way SoLLUMINATI talks, he probably should go to Kick. But I think his return is just, I think it's interesting how when you are a platform, when you're not a platform, I think it's interesting when you are a person with so much influence that taking breaks low key is a way to elongate your career. Right? I think for a certain ilk of creators, taking breaks is one of the best things you can genuinely do for your career, because it makes your career more sustainable and much longer, right? Because you have reached a level where it don't matter if you take 4, 5, 6 months off. When you drop, people will wait. And I think in the streaming world, Kai Cenat is actually on that level right now. I think Speed is on that level right now. I think if Kai took a year break, when he comes back, there's going to be 80, 90K people in that first stream off rip. Right? But I think a lot of creators don't have that luxury, and you really got to earn that shit. You really got to earn that shit to have that luxury of taking a break, and when you come back, there's going to be, for So, because on YouTube, he has the same effect. When he takes a break, he be taking long-ass breaks. But the first video he drops in 5, 6 months, there's going to be 500, 600K just waiting, because he's the bro, he's the guy. He's so entertaining that when he drops, I'm going to watch whenever he drops. I think that is a privilege right there. That is a privilege that SoLLUMINATI has earned in this content shit. I do wonder what his motivations are. When it comes to returning to streaming, because I always wonder what YouTubers who, for lack of a better term, fell off or just stopped creating content, what they do after the fact, right? Because I think there's really like 2 things you can do. A is either you made so much money in your prime that you can either just straight up retire, or you can be self-sufficient for like 5 to 6 years off of the money that you made before you gotta really start working again. Or B, you just become like this desperate ass dude that doesn't know how to revive their career. You haven't been in the workforce for years. You know, even if you were in school, that degree, you haven't used it in 6, 7 years. So, you know, in the efforts of you trying to make a living, you just try to trend jack on whatever's popping right now because you got to do something to pay the bills. And I do wonder for SoLLUMINATI, like, did he make enough money in his prime to just, you know, chill and he's just doing this for fun? Or is this a case of, hey, man, funds is kind of running dry? You know what I'm saying? Like, funds is kind of running dry. And I got to make a move right now. I see all these popping motherfuckers streaming. Is it time for me to stream? Is it time for me to get back into the content game and start streaming? Because I do feel like a lot of YouTubers have been using the streaming wave to gain a second wind in their career. And I think AMP, I wouldn't say they needed it to regain clout, but they were definitely a part of that YouTuber to streamer pipeline. And then I think there's this new generation of like the old head YouTubers that were late to it, trying to get into it. You know, I think AMP they were pioneers and they saw the potential before it became big. And then there's this other wave of YouTubers that saw it become big, was late to the party, and they're trying to get into it right now. Some have failed, some have succeeded. I think DDG is a perfect example of a success use case for this. I think Deshay is a perfect example of a bad use case for this, right? I think FouseyTube, he was low-key a success story in this as well. Sneeko was a success story in this, but he was low-key a pioneer. He was a pioneer level low-key. And I wonder if So is like, Zeus and Bilu, I think, is a success story in all of this. Jadeon, I don't know what Jadeon be doing nowadays. I think he just went back into regular YouTube. But I think So is another one of those dudes that, you know, let's try the streaming shit out and see how it works. But definitely, I'm interested to see how this So pivot turns out, for real. Definitely interested to see how it turns out. Speaking of new streamers, new up and coming streamers, if there's one new face this year within streaming culture that I've been seeing a lot that just straight up wasn't there last year, for me it's this dude named Marlin. For those who don't know who Marlin is, let me show y'all who Marlin is. Because Marlin has been honestly popping off as of lately. He's been popping the fuck off. He's been pulling crazy numbers. And I'm talking about 20, 30K to streams, which is not something to scoff at. Not something to scoff at. So this right here is Marlin, right? Mar3LG is 3LG his community. I don't know. But this is a guy that for me came out of nowhere. But he's been pretty associated with the FaZe Boys recently. I think a lot of his fame has come from honestly him being like attractive and doing thirst traps on TikTok, but then also having a personality enough to like make it in streaming, which is rare for the fuckboy type to have the personality to make it in streaming. But as you can see, a lot of clips with Lacey specifically, a lot of clips with the FaZe Boys, some clips with Aiden, I believe. But yeah, he's been going crazy on TikTok. He's been going crazy on YouTube. And I will say, if there's one dude that, you know, is really breaking out this year that didn't have much of a platform last year, it would be Marlon. However, boy's getting canceled right now. He's getting canceled right now. You might be asking, for what, B-Souls? Allegedly being a PDF file. So let's see. How old is Marlon? So according to this, Marlon is 23 years old. For the context of everything we're talking about, let's just figure out how old this guy is. For the context, he is 23 years old. Okay, I believe he's from Australia as well, or Sweden or something. I don't think he's from the States for real, but I think he moved here. And this is the one that's really going viral.
But this is Marlon, and this is what I found. And I made sure that this was taken down because I was so worried for him. I helped him always have this fake image. I've always helped him, even towards his family. I've helped him have this fake image also with you guys that watch him, that didn't know that he's lying to you guys.
So let's read the leaked DM right here. Okay, I think this is someone who swiped up on his Instagram story. Would you sell pics and I'll cash app you? Marlon then says $1,000. Is that only for one pic or a few? A few. PayPal though, don't have cash app.
I've helped him lie to you guys that he doesn't have a relationship and that he's single while he was doing girl content with everybody else. I'm exposing him because I have to stand up for myself. And you guys should know.
Okay, so a claim made right there. He was doing girl content while having a girlfriend privately.
That he's single while he was doing girl content with everybody else. I'm exposing him because I have to stand up for myself. And you guys should know. You guys should know who you're watching. A guy that lies about drinking, about everything, how he's a man of God. This is not true. How is this a man of God? Please tell me.
And I think another component of this, side note, I don't know who this is. Another component of this is like Marlon has made it a part of his content that he's turned a new leaf. He's a man of God, all these different things. He doesn't drink, but apparently he's getting exposed for being someone who drinks.
This is how he got money for a long time. He was doing this to multiple people. This is not a screenshot that's mine. This is a screenshot that somebody posted on a page called LPSG. And I made sure this was taken down to keep up his fake image. And this is the what's it called? The mails that I made. This is me, obviously. Me making sure that this is all taken down for his image because I didn't want him to be exposed. I always was the ride or die for him. I did everything for him, guys. We were in London in September.
Who is she?
In a hotel. He FaceTimed a gay guy in front of me, and the gay guy sent money to Marlon because he was showing his biceps and abs and whatever. This was right in front of me, guys, and this is proof.
Okay, so that's a video right there. Apparently there's a little bit more.
Using somebody in New York too that he was staying with, a really nice family. The wife's name was Terry, and they had a really nice house in, I think it was New Jersey, not New York. And he promised to pay the rent for a room in their house. He never paid for nothing at all. He ignored them. He left them cold on red afterwards. After he left the house, he left with nothing, no payment, nothing. American guy, and they have a house, and he also went there. They had like a shed or like a backyard house, like a pool house, whatever. He asked to stay there and pay them or whatever. He never paid, never even a thank you, nothing. Just left them cold too. This is the way he's brought himself up to fame. You guys think that he is disciplined. You guys think that he is hustling. You've never seen this kind of hunger, W hunger, whatever you guys say, W hunger. Yeah. But it's just using people. It's just using people. It's just manipulating.
Okay. So, apparently claims of him faking homelessness, scamming a bunch of families to let him stay at their house. And here's another one.
I'm saying, I don't know what time it is. We out here in the 365, baby.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. Just from this thread alone,
but this
maybe it's just me. Shit's kind of weak. Am I crazy for saying that shit's kind of weak? So let's just analyze like a lot of the claims here. So one is the faking homelessness part, him not paying rent. I guess he was. I don't. Does that even necessarily mean he was faking homelessness? I guess he didn't pay rent. Am I supposed to cancel someone for not paying rent? I don't know. I don't like, I guess it's a dickhead move. Like, if I was a fucking property manager, I'd be mad as shit. But like, am I supposed to cancel someone for not paying rent? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. The second claim here is what is the second claim here? Sending pics to men? So, you know, one of the components about him is like he's a traditionally attractive person. Again, he does a lot of thirst trap content and all of that. And apparently men be sliding up in this shit. Pause. Oh my God, crazy pause. They be sliding up on the stories asking for pics. And he be giving them pics. For $1,000 apparently. Am I supposed to cancel him over that? I don't know. I don't know. What was the other claim? Hold on, because there was another one.
I've helped him have this fake image to you guys. I've helped him lie to you guys that he doesn't have a relationship and that he's single while he was doing girl content with everybody else.
Another part is him doing girl content when in private he actually has a girlfriend. Again, am I supposed to cancel him over that? Am I supposed to cancel him over that? Like, I know we actually had this conversation on the last pod. Like, there's OF models out here that be doing skits with men while they have a man at home, while they have a fucking family at home. I think this is one of those things where, like, people are so parasocial on the internet, and I understand that's such an overused word nowadays. People are so parasocial on the internet. People believe everything is real on the internet. And there are content creators that know y'all do. They take advantage of that. And they essentially just do whatever is going to get them views. But in actuality, that's not how they actually live their life. You know what I'm saying? So with Marlon over here, bro, he's going to do girl content because y'all eat that shit up. Y'all eat that shit up. It's going to help him bolster his career. It's going to help him bolster, you know, his platform. But does he actually have a girl, like a girl he's committed to in the background? Possibly. Now, again, is that something I'm going to cancel him over? No. What? I don't care if like I don't give a fuck. Like, oh, Marlon actually has a girlfriend and he's lying to us with the like. I guess you can look at his content differently now, but again, is that something to cancel him over? No. That's like canceling that this is similar to that whole wave of people canceling prank channels for making fake pranks. I don't care. I don't care if who cares if pranks are fake? I mean, like, who cares? Now, I think the one thing that may be like the most cancelable part of this thread is him cosplaying as a man of God and using Christianity to bolster his content, and then like turning around and like actually drinking and doing all that stuff and lying about that part. Like, I think that's the most serious allegation out of all of this. But I'm gonna be honest, if him lying about being a man of God is one, him being gay, allegedly, right? Like, if that's the claim, if the claim here is, oh my God, he talking about being a man of God and being a Christian boy, all of this, but in actuality, he's gay and he drinks alcohol, I'm sorry. That is weak sauce. I'm sorry, bro. That is weak sauce to me. Again, I am not going to cancel him over that. However, that's probably the most bail. That's probably all the bail I will throw Marlon here, because the other stuff That's where it kind of becomes indefensible. I ain't gonna lie. So there's some clips coming out of Marlin making some jokes about underage women, and that's really what is getting him under fire.
I would dead ass. Bend your shit over. Small, fat, young, old. Underage, overage.
Whoa!
Give me back shots. After back shot. After back. See, bro.
So that's one of the clip right there. One of the clips. Let's see if we have another one right here.
Under the clock. Age under the clock. Age under the clock. Age under the clock.
That was my bad, y'all. So this is another one. I don't even know if this is from a stream. He's like acting as if he's getting head, and he's talking about age under the clock, age under the clock. I'm pretty sure he's joking. Okay, I'm definitely. I don't know. Because that sounded like I just defended him. I'm not trying to defend him in that instance. But yeah, that is definitely weird shit to joke about. Listen, I listen. Jokes are jokes, but I think certain jokes aren't even funny. I think certain jokes aren't even funny. Was that funny to y'all? Is that the clip for him? Like, that ass. Like, if we're clip farming, is that the clip for him? I don't care who you are, overage, underage, minor, not minor. I'm like, is that the clip for him? Do you really think that's the one that's like really gonna blow you up? Like that's insane. That's insane. So listen, I do think he will come out and say he was joking. I probably will predict that he will come out and take accountability from this. And I do think in all of this, you know, this part of the conversation is definitely where he definitely should be held accountable for. But for better or for worse, depending on how you look at it, I do think ultimately this is something that's just gonna pass over. He will continue to have the numbers that he's having, and people really won't care about this. I think for better or for worse, chat, people just don't care enough about a lot of things in life. Maybe this is a deeper point right here. I think ultimately, especially when it comes to content creators, people just want to be entertained, and they don't really give a fuck what, you know, you're trying to do. What you do, unless it's like egregious. Because I think a lot of people will again just look at these as like tasteless jokes. Very weird jokes, by the way. But this will just pass over. That may be some sort of bail. I don't know. Don't take me as a weirdo for saying that. But I think the reality of the situation, again, is just this will be another situation that blows up for a couple of days. He'll take accountability. This is something that will be continuously brought up in the future. I will say that. Definitely something that will continuously be brought up in the future. You know, if he says something crazy, there are gonna be crazy quote retweets talking about, wait, ain't this you? Ain't this you? You know, people will pull that card. But I think ultimately he made some tasteless jokes. People will just keep it pushing forward. And that's ultimately all that's gonna come out of this. I think the stuff from earlier, though, that is weak sauce cancellation. A lot of that was weak sauce cancellation, unless I missed something. But yeah. Hey, man. A lot of people were also saying it's kind of weird that a lot of this is coming out now that he's starting to blow up. Which there may be some legs on that. There may be not. I don't really know. But I think if there's one lesson to be learned, is a lesson that already should be learned. Don't ever idolize any of these favorite content creators. Don't ever idolize any of your favorite content creators, regardless of how authentic they make themselves out to be. Because I'm going to let you in on a secret. A big part of the game is selling authenticity. That's a big part of the game. A big part of growing on social media is making yourself as relatable as possible, making yourself seem as authentic as possible, even if you actually aren't that authentic in person. There's definitely a meta to social media. There's definitely ways, there's definitely things that you need to say to garner the audience that you want, regardless of what audience you're trying to garner. And the best content creators know what they need to say. The best content creators know the rules that they need to play within, know the game that they need to play, and they play it perfectly. They play it perfectly. Even if these are things that they actually don't believe in. They just know they just know what's gonna get them views. Ultimately, they just know what's gonna get them views. They just know it's gonna keep the checks rolling into the door. And just don't ever idolize these people. That's my ultimate thing. And that's a tough reality to deal with, because I believe there are genuine, authentic content creators out there. I truly do. I don't think everyone out there is a bad person. I don't think everyone out there is just, fake behind the scenes. Everyone is just playing a character. But I think as a viewer, you gotta go into content with that mentality that this is just all entertainment, that these aren't people to be idolized, because there are too many cases of people being fake. And then, your whole perception about your favorite content creator just changes. So it is one of those cases where it's just safer to assume everyone's a bad person, for lack of a better term, than assume everyone's a good person. And then when you get duped, you gonna feel silly. You're gonna feel silly. But nevertheless, I think that's gonna be it for this episode right here. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Salute to everyone watching this. I appreciate y'all for the support, for the ongoing support. I appreciate y'all for continuing to watch the podcast, continuing to watch everything that I do. From Let's Keep It a Buck to here to even the Instagram reels. That shit matters. That shit absolutely matters. Also, let me know. Kind of just thinking about it. I think even though we actually have a channel with like 30,000 subs, we are still very much in the beginning phases of everything we're doing over here. I've been contemplating adding a Patreon chat where y'all get extended versions of the podcast. Play a little bit of music, show a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. I've been contemplating that. So let me know if that's something that interests y'all in the comment section down below if you've made it this far. But with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this podcast, and I will catch y'all later, man. Peace.